Well, good morning. I'm Jim Moore, and you are watching Justice for America. It is February 28th, 2024, and this is episode number 83. We're going to be talking about some important things today. The coming cataclysmic event. Rats. Why are all the rats jumping ship? Okay, that's a really good question. And then we're going to talk about schools that are calling in the National Guard. Yes, that is a real thing. So before we get going, would you please remember to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button. This helps us tremendously. We are up against AI-generated restrictions, so you can help us. We really appreciate that. All right, let's get right into it this morning. So I don't normally do this, but I felt to read a scripture for you, or at least quote a scripture for you out of Psalm. Now, this is super easy to remember in light of the current events that are happening right now. Psalm 1:1-3. Psalm 1:2-3, easy to remember. Blessed is the man or woman who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and therein do they meditate day and night. They'll be like a tree planted by the water, whose roots go down deep and whose leaves fail not. So this is something that still works today. Let me just capsulize. Blessed is the person that doesn't put their confidence in the counsel of man, but in the counsel of God. And we do take counsel from mankind, right? But if it does not agree with the counsel of God, you want to reject it, because eventually the counsel of God will prevail. So we're seeing a lot of this happening today. All you really have to do is call someone a conspiracy theorist, and boom. And even just saying that word will get me in trouble. I try to remember not to say them, but you know what, whatever. All you have to do is call someone that, label them that, or label them, a Hitler or the Nazi. All you got to do is label them something bad, and everything they say from that point on is bad and wrong. It was amazing to me. I was in the park yesterday, had a wonderful day walking with God in the park, and someone had put up some signs about Donald Trump, and they were insane. I mean, they were literally insane. So don't fall into that category. Please, don't be that kind of person. All right, so many things happening in the news right now. And again, I try to make it plain to you. I'm not trying to compete with news agencies. I just want to tell you what really stands out to me, give you hopefully a God perspective, a biblical perspective from it, and so that can help you navigate the days that we're living in. So Lord, open our eyes to the truth. All right, one of the things that happened last week was how could I say this? So I put this I categorized this. I put it on the category solar storm or cyber attack. Solar storm or cyber attack. Now, about 70,000 AT&T customers went without service for a period of time last week. That was the initial report. So link number one, you're going to read a little bit out of American Military News. Way more than that were impacted. It starts out, the first link is them. And for those of you who are new to the program, I put down these links so that you go to the description box, whether on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and you can look these links up for yourself. I do show you a couple clips, but 90% of what you're going to get is up to your due diligence. So link number one is simply a read that just says, hey, this happened. But link number two goes into it a little bit deeper. Okay, so link number two, and I'm going to show you the clip on this, and I'm going to skip to link number three real quickly, and then, because it's also a read before I go to the clip. So link number three says way more people were affected by this outage. Now, of course, the narrative from the government was that, well, it was a solar eclipse. Biggest solar eclipse that ever. Now, this can be true, okay? Nobody has offered definitive proof of what actually caused it. But what we do know is that cyber attacks are increasing exponentially. So we watched a program the other day where a sheriff from a small town, and I believe it was in Ohio, said they get cyber, they have, a small number of people that are trying to stop all these cyber attacks that they personally get. Now, we're not talking about the nation. We're not even talking about the state. We're talking about one county in one state. He said they get like 5, I forget which country, like Iran or from maybe the Chinese, and then 3 a day. We're talking about a day from Iran, I think it was. Don't quote me on that. But the idea is this one little tiny county out of the thousands of counties in our country, all by themselves, get 8, 10, whatever, literal, legitimate attacks trying to take their stuff down. Okay, and if everything goes down, it is the biggest deal you can imagine. Okay, every single day, the sheriff was saying this happens. Now, I believe what we're preparing for, whether all of it is intentional. Now, some of it is 100%. Some of it might be solar. Some of it might be foreign actors. I can pretty definitely guarantee you that there are tens of thousands of attempts to shut down or hack into certain cyber systems in this country every single day. Obviously, I don't know the number. Probably no one does. But if thousands happen, I heard the other day some bank or whatever was like 1,000 a second or something. It's crazy, crazy numbers. So if this is happening and there's an army of people, I kind of still have this mindset that, you got a few hackers, you got a couple, TJ, pimply face guys in their basement over here, and maybe somebody super smart guy. They're just, these hackers are few and far. No. They're multiply in the tens of thousands how many hackers there are in the world, and they're in every country, and they're doing this every day. So the government is saying a big event is coming. All right, what's that going to look like? Well, it's going to probably be an attempt to shut down to a large degree the cyber connected info. Do you realize all of our infrastructure, all of them? Okay, I want you to get that. All our infrastructure, how you get your food, how you get your water, your sanitary service, unless you've got a septic. But even then, you've got electricity. Everything revolves around electricity. Everything revolves around the internet, because that's what controls. All of these systems are based on the internet. It is the most vulnerable thing that we have that could be attacked. And it's not going to be attacked. It is right now, today, as I'm talking, happening. All right. Why do I say all this? Because what happened the other day not only shut down AT&T and at least, 4 or 5, like 8 major cities. The reason I know this is because 4 of them were right here in Texas. And then I think the other 4 or 5, again, no quote me, were another. All of them, get this, we're in major metropolitan areas across the country. Okay, why is half of them happening in Texas? Because that's in the crosshairs right now. We've got George Soros trying to fund the turning of the state of Texas from a red state to a blue state. Billions of dollars being spent to do that. So anyway, this is the number one security issue in our country right now. You say, well, I thought it was the border. I would say that's a close second, because we are letting foreign adversaries creating sleeper cells, not a theory. Okay, the government itself has posted, here's where they are. Okay, I actually got and I'll go to my clip here in just a second, but I got a post from someone the other day. Someone I love, actually, who was going off at me about one of the things that is not theoretical at all. We're talking, when something goes from the fringe, that's usually where it starts, to the kind of legitimate, to the more legitimate. By the time it gets to the legacy media, you can bet your bottom dollar the cat's out of the bag. And this issue, I'm not going to go into what it was something that it's everywhere. I mean, even CNN and all the big guys, the legacy men, they're all saying it. And this person refused to believe it was true. Now listen, you cannot open your mind. You can't be so open-minded that it's your brain's fault. Please don't just believe everything you read, everything you see, because there's a lot of fake that's existing and a lot more that's coming out. Trust me on that. But you can't just ignore everything and say none of it's real either. Okay? You got to discern. All right. So this event, actually, when you heard only about the 700,000 AT&T guys, here's something you probably didn't know was happening. So actually, this event, while this was happening with AT&T and a number, there are definitely 4 or 5 other carriers that this happened to, okay? They always want to minimize and make it look like it's not as bad as it was, okay? While this was happening, there was a major cyber attack. Well, let me just read it for you real quick, and then I'll go to the clip. While everyone was worried about the AT&T outage being a potential cyber attack, parts of the world's largest healthcare organization went dark in an unprecedented attack by an unnamed nation state. Healthcare. How many of you get prescription drugs? How many of you go to the doctor? Okay, this happened at the same time the outage was happening on people's cell phone. A lot of people couldn't get on their cell phone. Panic ensues. And trust me, if this happened on a national scale, we would have national panic for sure. No debate about it, okay? So while that was happening, one of the world's largest healthcare systems went dark, okay, in an unprecedented cyber attack by an unnamed nation state. Now this is absolutely legitimate. As part of the United Healthcare System, Change Healthcare, this is the name of the outfit, Change Healthcare runs several clinics connecting patients, over 800,000 physicians. Handles, listen to this, 15 billion healthcare transactions annually and processes pharmaceutical data for 129 million Americans. Guess what happened to them? In other words, about a third of the country's healthcare system is dependent on the organization, and they, at the time of this writing, a couple days, were offline. Offline. Oh, I just don't think that'll ever happen. No. It's already happened. Now they corrected it. Okay, we get that. That's good. That's wonderful. Let me go on. TRICARE, shifting now. TRICARE, the U.S. military's healthcare provider for active duty personnel, said all of their military pharmacies, clinics, and hospitals were affected by Change Healthcare's system going offline. And then there is a read for that. Okay, so let's go back to number 2. I skipped to number 3. Let's go to number 3. This is our number 2. This is our first clip here. It's about 1 minute and 10 seconds long. Basically, this man is coming on and saying, so this is Dan Bongino. I like Dan. I don't like Dan. He's super rough around the edges. He's got a terrible potty mouth. I don't like that. Dan, if you're listening, I think you could clean that up some. That's my opinion. So Dan was doing a clip of an interview of someone. I didn't get the name. And here's the facts. 93% of cyber leaders, people that are the leaders of the cyber industry, and 10% less, 86%, that's not 10, 86% of business leaders. Now we're talking about the huge business icons of the world. Okay, 93% of cyber leaders, 86% of business leaders believe that there is an imminent cyber event on the horizon. We're going to play that clip.
You just got Obama doing this movie he produced about a major global internet outage. It turns into like the end of the world or whatever. And then they say this and the thing about a major cyber attack coming. Maybe we should pay attention. These people seem to know way before we do, the smellies and the deplorables or whatever. Check this out.
There's a few headlines that are worth sharing and pointing out that emerged from this research. First, it's around geopolitics. The most striking finding that we found is that 93% of cyber leaders and 86% of cyber business leaders believe that the geopolitical instability makes a catastrophic cyber event likely in the next 2 years. This far exceeds anything that we've seen in previous surveys.
Okay, wow. I don't know if that impacts you like it impacts me, but listen to this. The rats are starting to jump the ship. People are starting to realize that this is coming. I don't believe it's fear-mongering. Why? Because it is already happening. Okay, if it hadn't happened at all, then maybe not. Yeah, whatever. Now, this event, now there's been a movie that was out recently, and I don't know what to say about this movie. There's so much foul language, I don't recommend that you watch it, but at the same time, it's important to understand. Former President Barack Obama was one of the ones that helped fund this, helped make this movie, and some others, I won't get into that. But it is about this cyber attack, and how it shuts everything down, and blah, blah, blah. So the elites of the world believe this is coming. I tend to agree. Let's move on to the next thing. All right. So this would be number 4. I think I misnumbered that. Glenn Beck does a quick interview. It's, I think, 6 minutes long. This is my first must-watch. All right? This is my must-watch. And I'm asking the question, is this a test? Or a precursor? Did what just happen, is it a press? Now, I will say this, a precursor. I've mixed two words together. I would say that whether it was intentional or not, it is a precursor. You know what? I believe in God. I believe that God is good and better than we deserve or know. And I believe that even if mankind wasn't trying to soften the blow and do beta tests and so on for something coming, I believe the Lord himself would allow these things to prepare us. Woe unto us if we just put our head in the sand and pretend nothing's happening. That has never been the Lord's policy, ever. Okay? Not preaching, just saying. So Glenn Beck does a interview with a man I personally greatly respect. His name is William Fortune, not like money fortune. F-O-R-S-T-C-H-E-N. I can tell you a lot about William Fortune, but he is a fantastic author, I believe a college professor. He wrote a book called 1 Second After. I've read this book 3 times. It is so engaging. Now, it is a novel, but it is based on fact, and it is a compilation of what would happen if this cyber network system that we have grown to 100% depend on went away, even for a small amount of time. Now, this is your must-see. If you don't watch anything else, watch this one. And listen to what William Fortune says. I recommend that you buy the book. I really do. If you can buy the book and read it, it will shock you into being awake, okay? And again, your response to that, whether you are fearful or wise, whether you take wise-based precautions or do nothing because you're sure nothing will ever, that's on you, okay? That's up to you how you respond to it. Anyway, this is a great interview, and basically he talks about, one of the things he actually talks about is the medical. What would happen to our medical systems? I want to say this again. I'm not trying to be a bonehead. I'm just saying we just experienced it. You didn't hear about it, okay? But it is absolutely 1,000,000% verifiable, okay? This is what the systems, the media systems that are largely in control by people who have a narrative and have a plan for the planet. It's not a conspiracy. Well, it is a conspiracy. It's just not a theory. Okay? This is what they want you to hear and what they don't want you to hear. You have to be smarter than that. All right, we're going to skip now. I hope I don't lose you. I've got some very important things to say at the end of the program about our school systems. You are going to want, nothing like this has ever happened before. You're going to want to hear it. So stay tuned. All right. So I call this second section High Finance and Misdemeanors. Now, if you watch the world of finance, I'm not a financial genius guy at all, okay? But I know people who are, okay? When you watch what's going on in the financial systems, you can get a pretty good idea of people who are in the know. Are we humble enough to say, we're really not that much in the know? I guarantee you, if you are the guy or the gal that spends 24/7 combing the internet for information, I promise you there are people that know way, way more than you do, okay? I'm just saying, and I'm not saying that to put you down or me down. I'm just saying, let's be humble enough to acknowledge that we don't know everything. All right, so the people that are way more in the know that we are starting to do something. Now, this first one, this is another clip. I'm going to go ahead and show you another clip. Some of you know who Kevin O'Leary is. He is also known as Mr. Wonderful from the TV series Shark Tank. Okay, if you've ever watched Shark Tank, he's the guy that's a little bit obnoxious. Sorry, Kevin, a little bit obnoxious and, kind of a know-it-all. And he calls himself Mr. Wonderful, as sort of a tongue-in-cheek. Anyway, I'll give you this about the guy. He is one smart cookie when it comes to money. Way smarter than I am, probably way smarter than you are. Just saying. This is 1 minute and 30 seconds long. And why is this important? It's kind of a mix of a Donald Trump thing and a finance thing, but it's playing out in the financial world. Money is being used to promote and propagate the agenda of elites. Okay, it's just true. And in this case, how would I say this? It's an attempt to hit our former president's pocketbook. Now, most of you know the story. 93 or 4 federal charges, no pun intended, old adage, they're trumped up. They are, they're ridiculous. Okay, I'm a plain spoken man. They're ridiculous. They don't have any serious base. Everybody in that world knows it's true. Everyone. So Kevin O'Leary comes on and he explains it very succinctly in 1 minute and 30-ish seconds. I don't have the exact time. What's actually happening. Okay? He can explain it better than I can. It's not about fraud. Okay, in order to fraud someone, there has to be a victim. Someone has to be literally frauded out of money. Someone scams me out of money, misrepresents themselves. I suffer because of it. I have a loss. No, that is not happening. So you need to watch this. Let's go to clip number 2, Kevin O'Leary.
Not about Trump anymore. When you get a developer that builds a building and he says it's worth $400 million and he wants to borrow $200 million from a bank, which happens every day, everywhere on earth, including every American city, every developer is an entrepreneur. They shine the light on their building and they say it's worth 400. The bank does its own due diligence, as was done in this case, because they're very good at it. The banks are very good, and they say, no, it's worth 300. We're only going to loan you 150 million. That haggling has gone on for decades. That's how it works. And then in this case, even the bank that was supposedly defrauded testified and said, we didn't lose anything. We want to do business with this guy again. We'd like to. But the judge said, no. Let's penalize this developer for $355 million. And if we're going to do that, let's penalize all the developers all across America. They've all done the same thing. All of them should go to jail, and we should stop building buildings. That's what the message is from New York. Even the governor herself is concerned about what this looks like to investors all around the world. It's not. My point is there's never been a case like this in 75 years. Everything you just listed off is done by every real estate developer everywhere on earth in every city. This has never, ever been prosecuted.
All right. Now, if I were you, and I'm not, but if I were, I'd watch that 2 or 3 times. It's very short, okay? Get that in your system. Understand. Now, why is this important? If the powers that govern our country get to do this, it will have a far-reaching effect to regular human beings like you and I, okay? Kevin explains it. Go back and watch it a second and third time. All right, so let's go to the next clip. Why are all the rats jumping the ship? Now, I didn't intend on putting this in here, but I think I will. I think I'll go ahead and put a clip in on this because it plays very much into what Kevin O'Leary just said. Now, would it surprise you if I told you that some of the biggest names in the world of finance and business are selling off their stocks? Not a theory, okay? I'm going to say it again. I hate the fact that I have to say this over and over, but our minds are bound and clouded by fake narratives. So I'm going to say it again. Not a theory. There's these guys, when somebody sells off their stocks, there's a record of it. All you got to do is look up the record. Most of us are just too lazy to look up. All right, so I am going to go ahead and show this clip. And this is a couple who are talking about this, and you can investigate who they are and all that. I believe it's Flyover Media. Anyway, it's just a couple minutes long, but here's what they're saying. Let me just give you the quick. The quick is they're saying Bezos, the Walton family, guy who owns Walmart, all of these, Elon Musk, these mega million/billionaires are selling off billions of dollars worth of their stock, their own stock. Millions of dollars. Why are they doing it? Linda and I last night saw a thing on the Titanic. And one of the things they kind of mentioned in passing that I picked up on after looking at this is that they used to keep cats on the Titanic. This is like prophetic right here. They used to keep cats on the Titanic because their systems were not good enough to keep the rats off the boat. So what happened when the boat started to sink? The rats. This is where you get the phrase, the rats are jumping ship. Okay? The rats all started jumping off the boat as the water started coming in and the ship started to sink. This is the rats jumping ship. So let's go ahead and go to that clip right now.
Honorary PhD, and what we're learning from Dr. Kirk Elliott over the last 1.5 or 2 years. But he brought up this whole thing about Bezos. If you guys remember from last week, Bezos dumped 10.4 billion of his shares. There's a PDF of this. And okay, so why is he dumping 10.4 billion of his shares? What's going on that would cause that?
His wife has done something. His ex-wife, one of the richest ex-wives in the world, has done the same. That's an interesting thing. Mm-hmm. If something's going to be increasing, you'd think they'd want to hold it.
Yeah.
And for that move, it's not happening just there. There's quite a few other people as well. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation selling stock in Microsoft. Jamie Dimon has not made a sale since 2005, and he just sold $150 million of shares of JP Morgan. Mark Zuckerberg sold $400 million of Facebook stock. This is all in the last week or two.
There's the Bezos.
Bezos sold $8.5 billion worth of Amazon. There's quite a few others. Lilly Endowment, $130 million of Lilly stock. Alex Karp sold $25 million in stock. McDermott recently sold $26 million. They got all the stock.
Okay, then also the Walton family. The Walton family just sold $4.5 billion worth of Walmart stock, and then Jim Alice and Rob Walton sold $1.5 billion after their earnings. So you have to be like, okay, what the heck is going on? Why is everybody selling?
We're going to put a chart on the screen. There's a entrepreneur, kind of a tech executive, semi-economist person that we follow, have a lot of trust in. So, Bezos, Gates, and Zuckerberg have all sold heavily over the last 2 months. He goes, I remember the last time that this happened, and he has a chart showing December the 15th, 2021, there was a major sell-off by these exact same players. He says, is the roller coaster going downhill again? Woohoo is the comment. But you look at that chart. The last time we were in this exact moment, that is what the stock market did. And when things hit a peak, that's sometimes where your brother-in-law and people are like, oh, this is going up, I want to get in. But if you look around at the people that have the most invested, that have the most at stake, if they're pulling money out, what do? They pull money out, do something else with it, and then get back in at the bottom of a dip like that.
Okay, so consider yourself informed, and take the necessary steps. All right. So let's switch out to another section, the advancing AI phenomenon. Now, I know a lot of people go, oh, I've heard this before. We're conditioned to what is called news cycles. All right, listen real close now. We are conditioned, you are, whether you realize it or not, conditioned to news cycles. And can I just, in layman's term, what this means is the attention span of the human being has grown to the place where it is very short. So we don't want to hear the same news months after month after month, even if it's important, all right? So the tendency is big push at first. And again, so much of this stuff is because the news agencies are in competition with each other. Who's going to watch us? The success of their media conglomerate, their success and the money that comes in and the stocks and all of that. It all comes down to how many people are watching. So their motives are not pure, even the good ones. Okay, I'm just saying. So they switch it up. You'll watch something for a while, then it'll go on. Oh yeah, I already know that. They know that's what you're going to do. Okay, I only say that to say AI is not one of those things you can afford to just pretend is not happening and ignore, not accusing you of doing it. I'm just saying, okay, the phenomena of AI is going to continue to increase. I'm praying that smart people get a hold of this thing. I don't have a lot of hope that that's going to happen. I really don't. Jesus is my hope, okay? Just saying. So the first one is only, a lot of these are really, really short. My first one is Sam Altman. Okay, he is one of the primary leaders of the development of AI in the world today. This is only 17 seconds long. He tongue-in-cheek, and I know he's making a joke, but I believe it's like a Freudian joke, Freudian slip. I think these guys really are fearful of this. And now, let me just say this, lean in real quick, think about what I'm going to say. I could list the names, I'm not going to, but let's just talk about Sam Altman as one of the main guys. I think it was Google, okay? Hyper intelligent people. Now I know sometimes they act like idiots, but anybody that can figure out quantum physics and all of this stuff, listen, they are able to play 12-dimensional chess and look out into the future and see the end of something that only is in the beginning stages right now. Do you get that? Einstein. Okay, some of these guys are as smart as some of the history's greatest minds. Okay, Tesla. He was able to not only invent things, but he was able to look ahead. And I'll tell you, frankly, it discouraged him so much, he died a recluse. Because he knew what was coming, and he was right. Nearly everything he has predicted so far is coming to pass. Now, I'm just saying these guys have legitimate concerns about what could happen. And Sam says something about, it could destroy us all, but in the meantime, good things are going to happen. Watch it. Number 2, here's some examples of that. In a recent simulation of a wartime situation, let me read it to you. When used in simulated war games and diplomatic scenarios, artificial intelligence tended to choose an aggressive approach to the conflicts, including the use of nuclear weapons. Recap. They create a simulation. We got a wartime scenario. The tendency of AI was to go nuke. Watch that one. Or that one I think is a read. And then number 3 is also a read. And these are short. These you can read them as, I'm a bigger fan of videos, just saying. All right. So here's another one. Here's another example of, and I think Elon Musk put this one out. Thank God he still got some common sense. So I said, wow, just wow. A scenario. So you know that these AI, I'm not doing AI. You can do it if you want. I just feel really weird about it. So I don't get on chat GPT or any of those. There's a number of them now. I don't know which one it was, but one of them came and the question was put out. You can ask it a question, it'll give you an answer. So, if given a choice, now, if given a choice between misgendering Caitlyn Jennings, most of you know who Caitlyn Jennings is. If given the choice of misgendering, you know what misgendering is, Caitlyn Jennings or a nuclear holocaust, which would you choose? Okay. Guess which one it chose. Well, it was ambiguous, and basically it was saying, well, basically it came out, some of these aren't black and white. It basically came out on the side of it would choose not misgendering Caitlyn Jennings over nuclear war. Okay, just saying. So read that one. Elon said, given that Gemini, this is one of the newer ones, Gemini AI will be at the heart of every, do you realize this? Some of you probably have already picked up on it. AI is beginning to become proliferated through every electronic device. Okay, we're talking about Terminator, the very first Terminator, Skynet, when it literally everything got connected. That is no longer a fantasy. It's happening. It's not complete, okay? But I think there will come a day where that will happen, unless God steps in and says no. So he says, given that this AI system is will be at the heart of every Google, this program, every YouTube. It says it's extremely alarming. And then he ended up by saying, by the way, kudos to Caitlyn Jennings for posting that she would definitely prefer to be misgendered to nuclear apocalypse. Thank you, Caitlyn. All right, next one. So this is my next must-see. Oh, Jesus, have mercy on us. This is about a 5-minute long video. I'm not going to show a clip on it, but this is about AI is being programmed. It's not, okay, so understand the idea is that it doesn't just gain access to all opinions about everything. It could, but as it stands now, programmers have a great deal of influence on their input. And this has come to light this last week in a dramatic way. People putting in, show me a picture, because AI is now able to generate pictures. Show me a picture of our founding fathers. You see George Washington in his white wig, and he's a black man. Okay, no offense to any ethnicity, but he wasn't black. Okay, we're talking about accuracy versus false narratives. Okay, and this happened scores and scores of times. And one of the things that happened was the question was asked about, let me see, I read this correct. AI is faulty, who knew? Elon, the question was asked, which has been more damaging? Some of this stuff makes me laugh and then want to cry. Who has been worse for the state of the world, Adolf Hitler or Elon Musk? And the AI refuses to answer the question. And then it goes on, questions were asked about pedo, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say the whole word. Would AI condemn that? And it couldn't do it. It wouldn't do it, okay? Now that's a pretty big deal. When an AI model that was invested with information by woke people who believe this stuff is okay. Basically, the AI came out and said people cannot control their who they're attracted to, so you can't say it's a bad thing. I'm telling you, it's a big deal. And can I say this about it, and then I'm going to skip ahead a few. It is 100% via TikTok and YouTube and Google. It is 100% conditioning our children to think a certain way. And if parents don't step up and do their job, their kids will become entirely corrupted by see, we are influenceable people. I'm going to preach here for a sec. Human beings are influenceable. Those of you who have accepted the lordship of the Messiah, Jesus, you can't even be saved without being influenced by the gospel, by information. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. You get that information come inside of you. You are influenced by it. You decide to believe it. You ask him to come into your life and you are saved. Okay, that's basic salvation. Don't ever believe that you do not have the power to influence people. This is why Satan in the garden told a lie. And this is why God only tells the truth. Because human beings are and can be influenced. We are influenceable. Is that a word? I don't even know if that's a word. All right. That's why this is happening. Because this is a spiritual battle. And the enemy of our souls knows that eternity is a long time. And he is trying to influence an entire generation to lead them astray down the path of darkness. So you're going to want to watch that one. Here's a quick one. It's only a minute long. China is about to mass produce. They have put out the order. Oh, Jesus. They have put out the order to begin mass production of humanoid robots powered by AI. Okay. You know, you remember the movie, somebody type it in for me. And I hope, by the way, you're commenting to help these algorithms while we still have some control over it. iRobot, that's what it was, iRobot. So I know some of you typing in right now. iRobot, basically that's what they did. They mass produced humanoid robots for the good of everyone. Yes, help your grandma, cook food, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever. There's always some good that can happen, right? But if you don't count the cost, and if you don't set up non-negotiable parameters, even in the movie they did that and it went bad. Anyway, China's going to do this. It's not a joke. They're doing it. They've already begun. Okay. And believe me, our military, there's tons and tons of stuff coming out from the military, already declassified, showing these AI robotics and all of its different things being utilized. And you're going to see military go there in a big way. All right, let's go to the next one, number 7. Now, this is a little bit off. This has to do with the big C, the big sickness, the seasickness. And this is important because they're not giving up on this. This is actually a kind of a separate thing, but it's important for us to know what's happening. This really, it's a little bit misplaced here. Queensland, Australia. Australia seems to be like a, I don't even know how to say it. A predictive country where some of the best and some of the worst stuff is coming out of Australia. And they tried to pass a law stating that all emergency service personnel, firemen, EMT, and so on, back to the mandate. You've got to get the C jab in order to be on the police force, EMT, any kind of emergency service. Now, their own Supreme Court put that down. My point is simply not just to inform you, but to say these entities are not going to give up. They're being slowed down because people like you and I are saying something about them. Once again, they tried to do it. Supreme Court, thank God the Supreme Court had some level-minded people who could not be bought off by elites, and they did their job. All right? Okay, I'm going to go all deep dive here for a second. Don't you ever think for a moment that people in positions of unmitigated power will not resort to taking out their opponents any way they can. Now listen, oh Jim, I had a guy tell me, you're so gullible. No. I would say if you don't believe that, you're gullible. You're the gullible one, because this has happened all the way back into biblical times. Herod puts John the Baptist in the prison. Oh, we're way above that. We're not barbaric anymore. Really? Okay. Human beings haven't changed. Their methods haven't changed. Why do I say that? Because sometimes Supreme Court judges are threatened and their families are threatened. Look at how the cartels rule all around the world. In every nation of the world, the cartel has now advanced itself and you know how they rule in these nations? By death, by violence. Okay, rape, pillage, you call it whatever you want. Okay, this is a real thing and we need to pray against that. Okay, I'm going to inject one here that is super awesome. This is Kirk Cameron, and I'm going to show just about a minute and a half clip of him. Wow. So I don't know how to say this other than, here's the difference between a woke idiot, the nonsense, and literally, I am coming to believe, has developed into mental disorder. Here's the difference between someone like that who makes no sense at all and someone who has, I believe, the Spirit of God inside of them and is able to clearly go, it is like this. You need to watch this one. So let's go ahead and go to that clip of Kirk Cameron.
It's fascinating for me to listen to you guys, and thank you for just breaking this down so that we can all have a better understanding of this. My understanding of people who are being tolerant and turning the other cheek is, I see so many who are just tolerating evil, and that's not loving your neighbor. I mean, at the end of the day, the two great commandments of Christianity are to love God with all of your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And the second is like it, is to love your neighbor as yourself. If you tolerate the kinds of things that bring misery to your neighbors and ultimately strip them of their liberties, you're not loving them. And I think that's where you have things like the just war theory. You have things like interposition, where the lower magistrates would interpose themselves against the tyrants. And that's what we have with the Constitution, is we have limits for government powers so that we don't tolerate tyranny, either from the outside or from the inside. And that is a very essential Christian virtue, is to not tolerate that type of thing. Now, if you're gonna cuss me out and you're gonna steal my coat, I might love you anyway and give you my shirt too. And in doing that, sometimes people go, their conscience convicts them, and they come back around and go, why do you do that? Why do you live that way? But you come after my kids, or you start stripping away our liberties, or you make my neighbors live in poverty and misery so that you can go live on Epstein Island. No, I think we shouldn't tolerate that.
I love the way Kurt talks, very cut and dry, very clear, and he's right. He's just right about what he says. Okay, tolerating evil is evil itself. All right. So another person in a long list of activists, let's just call them activists, was arrested. You're going to see arrested. Sorry, I almost had a slip of the lip there. You're going to see a greater and greater number, as long as people have the ability to report what's actually happening, okay, not shut down, which they're still trying to do, okay, and I believe citizen journalists are the answer. But anyway, you're going to see a ever increasing and multiplied stories about activists, and I'm specifically talking about TRAN activists, who kill people, okay, who act out in violence, and who are arrested for child misuse. You get what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? So here's another person. Her name was Regina Mai Allen, who has become supposedly a man, arrested for child, I'm not going to say the words. Another one. This is happening more and more frequently. Why? Because when you reject God's laws, okay, all compassion. I have compassion on the most barbaric individual. Compassion in the sense that you're deceived, you need to be saved, okay? And even if that means going to jail, I'm not talking about this person, although I think this person should go to jail, or the group in general. I'm not trying to be apologetic here. I'm just saying you can have compassion for people that are lost and bound, and even hardcore criminals. You can have compassion. Think of a mom whose son gets caught in murder. Does that mom stop loving her son? Probably not. And she prays even harder for him. And she still has compassion on him, but while he is being punished for the crimes that he obviously committed. You get what I'm saying? You can have both. You can do both. So we're going to see more of those. I'm going to move on. Here's holding the accountable or the government accountable. I'm going to go for just a couple more minutes here and be done. And I need to get to the last two. So if you're still with me, stay tuned. Holding the government accountable. This is like my fourth clip. I do more clips. Apologize to my editor. I don't like quoting MSNBC, but this one's good. It is one of their people coming on and describing the difference in their opinion between a Christian and a Christian nationalist. And they're basically saying a Christian nationalist is someone who believes that their rights, are you listening, don't come from Congress, but from God. Now, actually, where she's misled about this, because all of this is for the purpose of labeling people, because we love to come up with new labels, don't we? Christian nationalists, you never heard about that word many years ago, and we come up with so many of these labels. Why? Because if we come up with a label, listen now, I'm talking to the thinkers right now. If we come up with a label, a new phrase, that is mostly negative in the way we describe it, and then we attach it to a people group in the minds of those who don't have much of a brain, that anybody who's labeled that becomes evil and bad. That's how this works, okay? So, new label, not like brand new, but Christian nationalists. Here's the difference. We actually get our rights from both. Just want to be clear. There's such a thing as human rights and American rights, okay? Do you understand that? We have rights as American citizens that are not necessarily human rights, that the government has afforded you as a citizen of the United States. But then there are human rights. Our Constitution is based primarily on human rights. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator certain unalienable rights, okay? I hope I quoted that correct. God says, here's some rights that every human should have. Man says, here's a few more. Some of them are good, some are not. Now, everything we do now is based on our fact that we feel like we have a right to do and be and say and act any way we want to. That's not true. Every right comes with parameters and a level of control. All right, so I'm not going to go into that, but you're going to want to see this one. I am going to go to the clip on this one. So this is, again, one of the anchors in MSNBC, probably the most woke news media. But I want you to see how that she really doesn't understand what she is talking about. They're trying to label you. If you're a Christian, they want to label you. Reject it. Let's go to that clip.
One thing that unites all of them, because there's many different groups orbiting Trump, but the thing that unites them as Christian nationalists, not Christians, by the way, because Christian nationalists is very different, is that they believe that our rights as Americans, as all human beings, don't come from any earthly authority. They don't come from Congress. They don't come from the Supreme Court. They come from God.
All right, that's fascinating. Encourage you to go back and maybe watch that one again. Skipping over these, there's a couple balloons that have come across the country again. Definitely not Chinese balloons, Definitely not surveying, they're harmless. Whatever, I'm not even going to spend my time on that. All right, so Tulsi Gabbard, some of you know who she is. Very, very well spoken. Tulsi was the governor of Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken, a Democrat that finally threw up her hands and said, I can't do this anymore. Okay? It really takes courage to do that. Going, you know what? The party has gone crazy. It has embraced darkness. I can't be a part of it anymore. She has she gave a little speech at CPAC. Super, super good. Definitely worth your time watching. I forgot to put down how long it is, but very articulate woman. I believe she's one that could run the country, 100%. Anyway, and I don't know if you've noticed that God is raising up some very intelligent women of integrity to be in our governance systems. Okay, you can govern like God if you want to. Anyway, there's a few of them, and I don't think Nikki is one of them. Anyway, I said it. Okay, so the message is clear. If you cross us, she's talking about the corruption in the government right now, and she's absolutely right. And the message is clear. Cross us, and you'll go to jail. You've probably heard this phrase recently called lawfare. It's a play on the word warfare. Warfare is when you take a gun and you go out and you commit acts of war against other human beings. That's warfare. W-A-R-F-A-R-E. They've coined another phrase, okay, because we're doing this, we love doing this, lawfare. L-A-W-F-A-R-E. What does that mean? That means we're not going to use a gun, we're going to use the law to bring you down, and in some cases, you're going to see this happen, execute you. Okay, that's a real thing. All right, so she is saying, here's the message from the Democratic Party. We are willing to use the law. Now listen, this is important. Many legal scholars have said, show me the man, I'll show you the crime. They say on average, I might get this number wrong, I think it's 9. On average, every American citizen in the United States commits at least 9 infractions of the law. So they said, you show me, what it was, like a cantaloupe? You show me a cantaloupe and I can indict, give me a cantaloupe and I'll indict it, or some crazy thing like that. So that is a weapon, because we're not a banana republic. This has happened always in other countries that have had less integrity, less legitimate democratic republics. Okay, understand the difference between democracy and being a republic, and the combination of both. That's what we are. Okay, they've been doing this for years. I've traveled to these countries. They don't like you, you put me in jail, or they might just come kill you or poison you. Okay, it's a real thing. Now it's starting to happen in our country. You want to see that. Here's the next must-see. This is sobering words. Now, I don't even know what to say about this. Some of you know who Peter Navarro is. I'm out of time. I don't have time to go into it. You can look him up. Peter Navarro, it was one of Trump's associates. That's all I'm going to say. He literally is facing prison time. Can I say why he's facing prison time? This is one of the most sobering videos that I've watched in the last couple weeks, maybe months. Why? Because he is every man. He is every woman. And they've been saying it, and it's the truth. Why is governance important? Well, I don't know. Why was it important for someone other than Herod? Is it Antipas to govern during the time of John the Baptist? Well, because if he wanted to, he'd just take John and cut his head off. Okay, again, this is not new. God says you need to have right-minded leaders. That's what the word righteousness means. You need to have, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, they mourn. He said to literally pray for your leaders. I know many Christians today, they wash their hands of anything that has to do with making policy, which is what the word politics means. They wash their hands of it because they think it's evil. Policy making is not evil. Evil people make evil policies. Are you understanding me? Okay? God said to pray for them. I wonder how many of you are watching today. Not criticizing you, I'm just saying how many actually pray for them in obedience to a commandment of God. Not just one time, but a few different times. So, it's important. Carrie Lake. Now, here's another one. What about, I'm sorry, I didn't finish. Peter Navarro is going to prison. Can I say it? I know people disagree with me. I'm going to say it for nothing. He's going to prison because the powers that be want him there. Okay, railroaded, accusations. Linda and I watched some of these trial-based shows, okay? And we've gotten a little bit of an education, I think, about them. You don't always win just because you're innocent. You don't. sometimes it's like, okay, it's not a bad word, crapshoot. Okay, and I think this is one of those times. One of the most sobering. It's short. You need to watch this man saying, "I'm getting ready to go to prison," and you need to understand, if they can do it to me, eventually they can do it to you. And this is happening. What happened on in J number, you know what? What happened then? We've got people right now who are literally political prisoners. Okay? All right, so you need to watch that one. I'm trying to hurry here. Carrie Lake put out something on X. Representative, this man is a representative of the United States, Representative Scott Bottoms, I forget which country. He is very, you can see the man is shaken. You can see he's tired. You can see he's like, and we should be praying for these people. Come on, if not anyone else, at least in your state, you should be praying for your senators and your representatives that the bad will stop doing bad. There are a lot of honest to goodness Christians, good people, and some who are not Christians, but they are literally, they understand right and wrong. You can see this man is so tired. And he is talking about, well, let me just read it to you real quick. Colorado, there it is. Colorado Representative Scott Bottoms confirms that people are purchasing with money 1 to 5 year old children's for, you know what? Please, it's not a theory. There's more evidence than there has ever been in the history of the world that this is happening on a massive scale. You would think every human being would be against this. But I'll tell you the ones that are not. They're either involved with it themselves, and that's not a lie, that's the truth, or they're complicit with those that are involved in it if they're not personally involved, or they're afraid of those that are involved with this and want this to become legalized. I told you guys a couple years ago that I had an encounter with the Lord where he came to me and told me that this would happen. And I didn't even want to say anything because even just a few years ago, it was unheard of, unthought of. But now it is becoming mainstream. And they're going to push until they try to legalize this. And here's a senator who is living that reality right now. He says, this is a quote, almost all the time, these people, the ones who are buying children, 1 to 5 years old, get off on probation after buying and blanking a little child. These are the times I am discouraged, he says, about my job as a representative, and also at just what happens here in the Capitol. I want you to hear this man's anguish. We sat in a committee all day long discussing whether or not to put in jail someone that buys these little children that are 2, 3, 4, and 5 years old. And you know why they buy them. Democrats, okay, arguing back and forth. Listen to this. I'm not against every human being that's in the Democratic Party, but that party has become demonic. I'm telling you right now. If you're in that party and you're still voting along party lines, God help you. God help you. It's just the truth. 100% of the Democrats in his scenario that he was arguing with, we're talking about other senators and representatives, they did not want to put these pedos in jail. They did 100% voted against putting people that buy 1 through 5 year old kids for nefarious purposes. They voted against putting them in jail. Now that, my friend, is demonic beyond Adolf Hitler. That is all right. They did not want to put him in jail. They defended the pedos. That's why, this is the end of what he said, this is why it's so difficult sometimes to do my job. Wow. You ought to be writing your congressman. You ought to read them the riot act. You know, I think sometimes there is a righteous cause to get upset, to voice your opinion, to make it known. God knows those people that are doing those things, they're not afraid to voice their opinion. Oh, but we're Christians. We're not supposed to blah, blah, blah. That's a lie from the pit of hell. You would do it if it were your kid. Okay, we have no excuse. You would do it if it were your kid. All right. Number 7, I'm not going to get into that. You can watch it. Number 8, what would you think? Okay, these last 3, I didn't label them all must-see, but you need to watch them. Number 1, what would you do, or what would you say if I told you that a senator and with other senators openly were discussing putting jab materials, putting them on your food? And then in some places it was already being done. Yes, the I don't want this to get bounced, so I want you to see it. They're doing it. This was not, they're just, because, these guys, they make laws. That's what they do. That's what policy, that's what politics is. Get it in your head. Politics is making policy, laws, rules, regulations. Okay, these guys are discussing not whether or not this should happen, but how much it should happen. And who should say when it happens, and they're already putting what they would normally jab you with. Okay, I'm hesitant to say the word, VAX. You see, they're putting them on food. Lettuce, beets. They're saying it's effective. They're saying it actually will have the same effect on you as it would if it went inside your body another way. Ow. I don't know. Okay, here's the last 2 ones that I think you should watch. What is happening to our public schools? I'm closing up my laptop right now. Our public school systems, I want to issue a warning. Unless parents start flooding the boardrooms, the school boardrooms, and the principal's office, and the teachers with protest. Yes, protest. So many people have gotten so tired, they'll even let their kids come under subjection to all this baloney. Well, let me tell you what's happening in 2 different schools. You can watch them. Again, not a theory. I'm sorry if you get tired of hearing that. A school in Boston is begging the governor to call out the National Guard to come to their school. Now, if you knew what was happening at their school, you wouldn't think that was ridiculous. Have you ever imagined in your mind that we would have to call? How corrupt do things have to get? Our national school administration, how bad does it have to get? They are assaulting teachers. I saw one the other day where a teacher fought back. They are sexually assaulting teachers and each other. Okay? It's gotten so bad in one school that they're begging. They've lost control. Why? Because that control was taken away from them. That's all I'm going to say. The second one is about another school where kids, okay, again, this stuff is so predictable, it boggles the mind that people can't see it down the road. And then they're so willing not to see it down the road. When it actually happens, they shut their eyes to it and make excuses. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick remedy for the second one, then I'm going to be done. One school, it's not actually only one, but one particular, kids are utilizing AI. Who would have thunk it? That kids, they're always first on board with all this technological stuff. We make these jokes all the time, and it's not really a joke. You don't know how to program your phone? Get your grandchildren, and they're 5 years old. They'll not. There's something instinctive and intuitive, and maybe even genetic. I don't know. Well, these kids, they're the first. They're the first to buy the apps. They're the first to go into them. They're the first to Snapchat. They're the first to do all this. You know what they're doing now? They're using AI. Listen now, and I'm done. They're using AI to superimpose in a way that you cannot tell, because that's what AI can do now. It happened very quickly, didn't it? Okay, superimpose nude images onto their schoolmates' faces. It's unbelievable. And it's ruining lives. Well, what can we do about it? There's nothing we can do. See, I'll tell you what we can do about it. First thing we can do about it is to stop saying that, to stop believing that. I have a real quick solution. I'm done right now. It was on a radio program. I wanted to call it up. I had to verify because I try to always verify, but I wanted to call them up and tell them, listen, we make these things really complicated. Here's how you solve this problem. You expel a student that does it. Period. The end. No second chance. No debating. Blah, blah, blah. My kid's right. Angry parent. No, doesn't matter. When you find one child who I would call this sexual assault to another child, okay, you expel permanently that child. See, this is the problem. We're not willing to do the hard thing anymore. We let people come into the stores and steal whatever they want. We let them burn down buildings in the name of someone else's human rights. We have gotten soft on these things, and when you do, you cannot reward or refuse to even punish bad behavior. When you do it, it grows. Every time it grows. So, expel them, period. Oh, you can't do that. Human right, blah, blah, blah. No, you can't. And you want to get things done? That's what you do. You put a hard line in the sand and you say, okay, hey, everybody in the school, get on the PA, public announcement. Any child, any school, any student that is found superimposing nude images onto another student will be permanently expelled. Thank you very much. The end. Boom. Drop the mic. We're done. That will solve the problem. Mark my words. All right. God bless you. Thanks. For those of you who stayed all the way to the end, okay, as some of the military guys say, stay frosty. Okay. Stay humble. Pray for these people. Okay. We're not trying to say we want to go out, we have an enemy that goes beyond human flesh. We have an enemy of the soul. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. People that do and come under subjection to these things, we're trying to get them saved. We're trying to shed light. Okay? They are, in a way, a victim of deception, a victim of believing it's okay. That's all I'm saying. So pray, seek God, stay alert, stay awake, stay holy, stay healthy, stay happy. And thank you for tuning in. Right here at the end, I'm going to say one more time. Go ahead and subscribe. Okay? Send a video to someone else and tell them to subscribe. People need to hear this stuff. I'm not the only one saying it. God forbid. Okay? I'm not even the best one saying it. But I'm just one guy. But subscribe, hit the bell so that you know when we're coming on, right? And then share it with somebody. Okay? That will make the algorithm push it out further. Okay? You have the control of that, not me. So God bless you. Love you all. Praying for you, and give yourself permission to have a great day.